the Breakthrough Life Coach, and today I want to talk about, well, I want to talk to the children of narcissists, and I want to talk about the way that narcissistic parents abuse their children. And I also want to talk about some of the things that maybe we can do about it to kind of like deflect that type of abuse. And I'm hoping that you guys will be able to catch some of the pretty birds that come and visit me on my deck. There was a blue jay, so cool. So anyway, okay, so let's get to it. So the first thing I want to say is that if you are the child of a narcissist, life ain't fair. Like, you were not allowed to have a normal childhood. You probably felt like I just said earlier to a group that I'm coaching, like you felt like the fish outside the aquarium, that everybody else had a better life than you, and there was probably some shame that you associated with the idea or the knowing that other children had different life experiences than you did. And I just want to say right off the bat that it's time to take that SOS off. An SOS is what I call the sweater of shame. Shame is something that happens from the outside. Now, healthy guilt is something that we feel internally. So, if I steal my best friend's, pocketbook and I don't tell her about it, and I feel guilty about it, that's healthy internal guilt. If I feel shame because of the way that I look, someone's made me feel shame that came from the outside. So shame comes from the outside. So it's important that if you have any shame from childhood associated with feeling like you weren't good enough or there was something wrong with you, and that's the reason why you didn't have the kinds of life experiences Tommy and Jane and whoever had, then you really have to look at that and do what you can to tell yourself, that's not my shame. It's not my fault my family wasn't healthy. It's not my fault that my parents were abusive. It's not my fault that my parents weren't able to mirror back to me a sense that I was worthy. So it's really, really important. So let's talk about the ways that parents abuse their children. Parentification. So parentification is a term used to describe the type of abuse a child of a narcissist experiences when the parent makes the child completely responsible for them. So let's say you have a parent who is single and your parent doesn't allow you to date, or your parent is always complaining about how sick she is or how sick he is, and will make you feel guilty when you try to have friends, or you try to go have a boyfriend or a girlfriend. The parent will use any tactic necessary to make you feel guilty for having your own life. So that's parentification. And sadly, that can happen very early on. And in a lot of cases, that continues into adulthood. So as the parents age, the dynamic and the enmeshment caused by the initial attachment trauma, which is unhealthy bonding, means healthy bonding was never allowed to take place. What happens is that dynamic continues into late adulthood. So you literally can be 40, 50, 60 and taking care of and feeling responsible for your parent and never have had your own sense of self and sense of identity. It really can happen. And at any point in life, you can begin to change those dynamics and begin taking care of yourself and detaching, from the parent who has used this tactic against you. You really can. It does take some skill, but it is possible. The second term used to describe the type of narcissistic abuse that parents inflict on their children is infantilization. So it's a form of dependency, much like parentification, but what happens is the parent implies that the child can't take care of himself or herself, and the parent goes above and beyond healthy standards and actually fosters a dependency on the parent so that the parent never has to be alone. So you take a human being who has all the potential in the world to be whatever he or she wants to be, and mother or father comes off like, oh, I'll take care of that for you, or you can't do that, let me handle it for you. And there's this sense of learned helplessness, like I can't take care of myself and I need mommy and daddy to take care of me. And it literally cripples the child well into adulthood. You can be 60 years old and feel like you can't make a decision without your elderly mother and father like helping you make that final decision. It's possible. But again, it's also possible that once you become aware of the dynamic and you understand that it goes back to narcissism of the parent, and it's not your fault, dear one. If you've been abused this way because your parents did not have a sense of self, and they kind of like became a parasite to you, that's not your fault. And you can heal that, which is great, great news. Triangulation is when a parent, let's say you have a sibling, or sometimes a narcissistic parent will triangulate you with the other parent, or they'll triangulate you against, or they'll become between you and your sister or your brother or a member of your family. Sometimes what will happen is mom or dad will actually bond with one of your siblings against you. That's triangulation. So it's a sense that you're out, you're really not in. And it's very, very damaging, because we as human beings need to feel connected to our parents, especially our parents, and especially mom. If it's not one thing, I heard a client say, if it's not one thing, it's your mother. Which, hello, I'm a mom too, and I'm preparing myself for the fallout, especially as my kids get older, because, we wound our children. And the most significant, I feel, just my opinion, the most significant relationship that we have as children is with our mother, with the being or the vehicle that got us to planet Earth. We were made of her cells, and yes, our father's cells, but we were created in her body, and we were connected to her body through the umbilical cord, which is like an extension cord. And once that extension cord is cut, a new extension cord is supposed to take place. It's invisible, but it's supposed to take place. And when we are born and we feel separate from this being that we have felt one with, we're traumatized. And if that doesn't stabilize very, very quickly, and there's consistent break in that connection, we suffer severe attachment trauma. Not our fault, not our fault. And so when we're triangulated, that is, to me, that's an abuse, or an exploitation of that attachment trauma, the need to bond to mommy or daddy, and that's being exploited, and that's very cruel. But I feel, as a life coach, what I do is I help expand people's consciousness, and I created my program. That's what I do. I help a large group of people expand their consciousness, which is so cool, and we play off each other. But I really believe that until we can name it, we can't heal it. So knowing that, oh, that's what's happening with triangulation. Oh, that's parentification. Oh, that's, infantilization. Oh, that's what that is. Once you can name it, then you can clearly see what the protocol is to healing it. So, hopefully this video is striking a chord with some of you. Narcissistic supply. So that's when parents use their children as a source of ego supply. So it could be identifying. We have, I don't want to throw any group of people under the bus, but we all know parents who have children and push them to be the best dancer, or push them to be the best cheerleader, or push them to be the skinniest girl. I had one client who gave me permission to talk about this actually a while back, but it's really just popped into my head now, where her mom was very heavy, and her mother insisted that she be thin, and was on her about everything that she ate so that she could be the head cheerleader at the school, and so that she can go and she could brag about her daughter at church to the other moms. And so that's a source of ego supply for and I believe that's narcissistic supply, using your children as a way, as a source, as an ego supply, so that you can feel better about anything in yourself that you can't get in control of yet, or you feel lack about, and using your children to feel better about yourself. We can also use our children as a form of narcissistic supply in a negative way through gaslighting. So gaslighting is another way narcissistic parents abuse children. Parents who question their children's reality, they lie to their children. They say, oh, I didn't say that, or I didn't mean that. I don't know what you're talking about, dude. I never said that. Meanwhile, the parent did say whatever they said. It could be, it could be something as innocuous, like, you're going out like that, you're wearing those jeans out. I wonder what girls are going to think about you wearing those jeans. And then the kid turns around and says, why would you say that? And the parent goes, say what? I didn't say anything, And the kid standing there scratching his head like, Dad, you just made fun of me. No, I didn't. I don't know what you're talking about. Things like that they screw with your kid, with a child's understanding of his reality. So it happens all the time. Or you embarrass a child, or you say something to a child behind closed doors, and that child confronts you in front of the other parent, and then that parent, the parent that's getting confronted, denies that anything was ever said. So that also happens. So narcissist, when it comes to gaslighting, it could be also, it's not talked about a lot, but I think actually instigating a child to the point where the child cries, that happens a lot. A lot of my clients present with that, where they say that, my mother wasn't happy until I cried, and unfortunately that was even my experience. Like, I would just get bullied and bullied and bullied to the point that I broke. And then the minute I broke, it was like my mom would back off, and it was like almost like pushing me to that point where she was able to crack me. And when I burst open with tears, that's when she backed off. It was like almost like a relief, or a release. My mom and I have come a long way, but my childhood was really, really rough because of that dynamic and her unawareness of the situation. At the end of the day, being born to a narcissistic parent makes you feel like there's something wrong with you, because it's unnatural not to be loved by your own parent. It's not natural. I believe that unlike birds, I love birds, as you can see, unlike birds who for the most part naturally take care of their young, and it's instinctual, human beings have to rely on, when you're born, you have to rely on what your mother has hopefully learned about how to take care of a child. So much of how we were treated as children is reliant upon how our parents were treated. And where it should be very, very instinctual for mothers to be able to take care of their children, so much of how well a job that we do or how poor of a job we do really gets affected by how well we were treated. I'm proud to say that I know lots of people that did not get what they deserved as children, and they became fabulous parents, and that's just awesome. But in some cases, our mothers will treat us the way they were treated. So we're different when it comes to animals like that. We really need to rely on having good role models, model for us healthy behavior. And the better our parents were loved and taken care of, the better that they should have been able to love us. Now, for those of us who are experiencing the fallout of narcissistic abuse, and maybe your parent isn't like NPD, narcissistic personality disorder, which is really tough disorder to diagnose. And I know a lot of us on YouTube throw that word around a lot. So when I say narcissist, I use a very broad stroke, and I'm talking about narcissistic defenses. I'm talking about narcissistic traits. I'm talking about complete self-absorption. I'm talking about parents who completely alienate their children, who aren't able to feel and connect to their children, who aren't attuned to their children. And in my opinion, that'll come off like narcissism. Like, you can't see me, I'm your child, and you cannot feel my feelings. Like, you don't have any awareness in your body about how what you just said made me feel. That's narcissistic. So I don't mean to imply that I have the right to diagnose anybody with NPD. It's a very difficult disorder to diagnose. But I'm humbly stating that when I say the children of narcissists, I'm using a very broad stroke. And I'm speaking to anyone who has ever had the experience of not feeling seen by their parent because their parent presented with narcissistic type defenses or narcissistic type traits or traits that were completely self-absorbed and alienated, and traits that alienated them from feeling seen. So it's awful to be the child of a narcissist, but we can overcome it. And we can overcome it by becoming very, very educated about what has happened to us. And we can go no contact. And we can learn to, what I teach is hold on to yourself. And we can confront our own codependency, because if you're raised by a narcissist, you're going to be codependent. which means that you're going to care about what other people think about you. And that's just not very healthy. I mean, to a certain degree, we do care about what other people think, but not to the degree that we care more about what other people think than we do about ourselves. That's where I think that it crosses the line. And that's where we need to self-teach and self-correct and self-discipline and become super, 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 super aware of when we have made someone else's opinion of us more important than our own opinion of self. And so I like to focus on the solution. So yeah, whenever I see a problem, I already know, but there's a solution. So there is a problem. So if you're the child of a narcissist, there's a problem there. But we need to heal that. We need to honor the little child inside of you, the inner child inside of you that has been abused. We need to validate their experience. And then we have to teach you true coping skills. And we have to change the dysfunctional programming up here. This has to change. And science has proven that you can change the landscape of your brain neurologically. It's not the simplest thing in the world to do, but with the right dedication and with the right tools, you can do it. So if you're interested in my 12-week breakthrough coaching program, I launch it September 1st. You can find out more about it, or at least get on my waiting list at https://lisa-a-romano.mykajabi.com. You can become part of my waiting list. Good news, next month, it's July right now, next month I am hosting a couple of webinars at the end of August where I'll open up the shopping cart where you can actually become part of the program, and then I will close it in 2 weeks. So you can actually take part in my webinars as well. Well, I'll discuss the program and give you a little insight as to, which I'm so proud of, like the recovery, the people that have come out of it, you know, who are now giving me testimonials about how their PTSD is gone and how years and years and years of feeling unworthy just gone, and how years and years and years and years, their whole life being codependent, and now they're not codependent anymore. They worry more about what they think than what other people think about them. You know, people who were struggling to end relationships were able to end those relationships, and now are actually enjoying being alone and looking forward to being alone and taking the time to take care of themselves. Just amazing journeys of stories of transformation. So I'll be sharing that in the webinars as well. So, you know, get on my waiting list, and you can also, you get free codependency worksheets when you sign up for my newsletter at www.lisaaromano.com. So I look forward to hearing from you soon, and let me know if this video at all helped you guys out. Namaste. As always, I'm bowing to the love and the light in you.